Hi you guys, what is up? My name is Julia. Today I have a really fun and requested video. I am going to be showing you guys how I edit my Instagram pictures and my thumbnails. So I have been getting comments for a while now, mostly on Instagram and a little bit on YouTube since I started. I've mainly just been getting comments about like what filters I use, what apps I use to edit, and how I overall make my thumbnails. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys both of those, putting it into a video for you guys, a little 2-in-1. So if you're interested in how I edit, make sure you keep watching. So I'm going to be starting off with the apps that I use. My main apps that I use to edit my actual pictures are Vsco and Tezza. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll kind of see like a continuous coloring feed. Since I started Instagram a few years ago, I have been using Vsco and I upgraded into like the Vsco X with all of the filters. So I love Vsco so much. It's an amazing app. But recently, I think over quarantine times, I bought Tezza and then I did like the little subscription of I think $4.99 a month, and then it gives me all the filters. It just gives you like a different choice of filters and a different like kind of vibe if you go for that. And I like using like the same continuous filter on all my pictures, also for my thumbnails. So that's what I use for those. Those are the two apps that I use to edit my pictures, and I will insert a little video here in a second of me doing that. And then the two apps that I use to make my thumbnails, other than like Tezza to edit the actual pictures, Pics Art, and I use Pics Art for the general format of the pictures. And then I go into Phonto and I add like the wording or the titles, whatever, and then usually I'll go back to Pics Art and just add like stars, hearts, any little decoration I want to finish the thumbnail, and then I'll import it into my computer. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So starting off with Tezza, I'm going to be screen recording my phone and I'm gonna put it here. Obviously, when I have the pictures I want to use, I will just import them at first. So I'm just going to go ahead and import these 4 pictures to kind of show you guys. I click the photo that I want, and the filter that I tend to use on most all my pictures is vintage. So obviously at first it's super saturated, super exposed, and I click the filter and I kind of adjust it to the coloring that I want, however bright or dark that I want it. And I'll play around with that. I usually do about halfway. And then after that, I will go into the bottom with like the actual adjusting of exposure, contrast, saturation, and then I kind of adjust it to however I like, however the specific picture is. And I'll usually kind of play around with the brightness a little bit, turn it down because it was golden hour, and then I'll go over to contrast. And then just because it's already kind of like golden hour, like I said, and it's already super saturated, I'll play around with saturation just a little bit, maybe turn up the temperature, kind of like fool around with everything. And those are the 4 main tools that I usually use every time when I'm editing my picture. Obviously it's going to differ depending on what picture I use, and then you can kind of like see the before and after. Kind of gives it more of like orange and pink tone. And if I want the same preset on each one of my pictures, specifically for like this type of picture, I'll just press copy edit at the bottom and then paste edit into the rest of them, so they're all the same. And then I'll show you another example of like totally different photos that I took, just so you guys can see how I edit different types of pictures with different coloring and everything. So I'm just going to import these guys right here, and then again I go into vintage. Since for this one it's already, the coloring is super orange, I have to turn it down a lot more than I did on my first one. And then again I'll go over into the toolbar and turn up the contrast a little bit, play around with the temperature. For this one I'm going to turn up the temperature a little bit more. I'm not really going to add any saturation just because again coloring is very orange. And then I'll go over into exposure, see if I have to adjust that. Maybe brighten it up a little bit, and then that is it for that type of picture. You can see the before and after, just kind of brightens up the whole picture. And then copy and paste the edit into the rest of the photos. So again, they're all similar. Very cute. So that is it for Tezza. Now I'm going over into the Vsco app. And recently I've been using Vsco more for like landscape photos or animal photos or disco photos, as you can see on my Vsco. Just gonna show you guys it a little bit. So I just posted those pumpkin pictures from a few weeks ago. I had my headshots, some pictures with my friends over the summer. As you can see here, I like using black and white in Vsco. So I'm just gonna show you an example of how I edit black and white photos in Vsco. So I took these photos a few weeks ago with Carissa at tennis courts, and whenever I want to edit black and white photos, it's a little bit different because they already give you like the black and white filter, and you kind of just have to adjust it to however you like. So whenever I go into Vsco, I'm looking for the black and white filters at the bottom. This is under the section all presets, and then I think they give you 4 options depending on what type of coloring you like. So I think I went with number 3. And then whenever you adjust like the black and white filters, it's kind of just going to make it more gray the more you turn it down. So I usually keep that all the way up. And then I'll play a little bit around with like brightness or exposure. I don't really do too much contrast because the black and white already gives a little bit of contrast. And then whenever I'm on Vsco, I make sure that I sharpen all my images. Just because Instagram tends to ruin the quality, I kind of just do this to perfect the quality. And for black and white, that's really all I do because you can't really play around with saturation or temperature, anything really else. So that is all I use for black and white photos. All right, so I'm gonna show you an example of how I edit my bright pictures on Vsco. So I'm just picking this picture right here. And then I have all of like my favorite filters favorited in one of the bars up top. And I just kind of go through, see what filter fits best. I think L4 or C7 probably. I'm going to go with L4. So whenever I use these filters, I tend to turn every single one down just a little bit to my preference for this specific picture. And I play around with it. This one actually looks better all the way up. So I'm gonna turn it up pretty much close to the top. And then again at the bottom, I'll play around with contrast a little bit, go to saturation, turn it up a little bit. I tend to go for skin tone sometimes just to kind of like match my skin tone to the background lighting. Play around with that a little bit. And then I kind of just go through all the settings just to see if I want to adjust anything, turn sharpen up. Again, you can see the before and after, how much clearer it is and how much brighter, so much more color. And that's pretty much what I do for all my filters. And so when I'm copying the presets, this one's a little bit different than Tezza. I have to go to the third section at the bottom bar and I have to press plus on the button down there just to kind of copy the preset, and then I'll press next, save as draft. And then if I want to put the same filter on all the pictures, I again just go there, press on the filter, save it, and then it allows me to edit my pictures all the same, so I don't have any difference if I'm going to post more than one picture. So yeah, that is how I edit all my pictures on Vsco and Tezza. I hope that helped you guys. Obviously, whenever you are editing your own pictures, you can have a personal preference of a filter or adding more saturation, more temperature, whatever it may be, but that is personally just how I edit my pictures. But if you are looking for some cute ways to edit your photos, I hope that gave you some really good suggestions for apps and maybe filters, whatever it may be. And yeah, so now I'm going to go to part 2 of this video of how I edit my thumbnails. The very first app that I use to edit my thumbnails is Pics Art. And for me, I just have a saved kind of like template of a white background that I can use to import and add photos. It's a really good reference of the exact YouTube thumbnail size because you can't make it too small or it'll show the borders, and you can't make it too big or they won't allow you to import it. So I will put the correct dimensions right on the screen for you guys to see if you're interested. So at first I just import that white screen on it to Pics Art, and at the bottom I will go and press add photo. I have like a million pictures, and obviously the type of pictures you pick will apply to what type of video you're making. So I'm just going to show you guys how I made my homecoming thumbnail. Go through, I pick out all my pictures. I pick the 2 or 3 best pictures I want to use for my thumbnail, and then I import them onto the white screen. And then this just gives me like a good base of the sizing that I want, or like the outline or the layout. And then obviously I have to organize my photos how I like it, and I'm pretty sure this is how it was last time. I really liked how this thumbnail came out. And then most of the time I'll crop the images so they all fit nice and neat and nothing's getting like cut out. And then I have to obviously play around with the sizing and everything. The hardest thing is playing around with the sizing and making everything fit in like the right layout. So that takes a few minutes, but I import all my pictures. I have them all here. Play around with the sizing. I'm pretty sure this is how I had it. That looks like the correct layout. Nothing's getting cut out, no heads, no faces, whatever. And then when I'm done with that, I will press apply. So it cuts off all the extra borders on the top and the bottom, and then I'll just press next, save the photo, download the photo, and then I go over to Phonto for the titles and the headings, press photo albums, click the photo that I want to use, and obviously however I want to title this video, I'll just add the text here. So this thumbnail was called Homecoming Week. So for me personally, I like to use the same font so everything's kind of even and just looks nice when I post everything. So the spacing for this thumbnail is a little bit different. I usually go into the font, make sure it's charter bold italic for me. I press style, stroke, and then the stroke is just like the outline of the word, so you can pick whatever coloring you want. For this one, I think the coloring looks best with like this light pink, but you can basically just do any color you want, however it best fits your video. Obviously this again is adjustable, you don't have to add stroke, do whatever you want. And then I'll adjust how heavy I want it, probably about there. And then do the same thing for the second font that I added. So just as an example, I'm gonna put it here. Then another really cool thing about Phonto is a lot of times you'll see like a curved font font, or you'll see like a really bold font, a tilted font, and those are also settings you can add to your text. And yeah, so that is how I do my titles, just as an example. But when I'm done with the font, I go and I save it one more time. So I import it back into Pics Art so I can add any stickers, stars, any other designs that I want. Go down to stickers. And from here, there's so much personalization that you can add. Super cute. I have stars aesthetic saved because that's what I usually use. But I'll go and I'll pick some stars that I want. I can pick silver, gold, whatever I want. I'll go and I'll add stars around the whole picture. And this is my favorite part, as you can tell. I have stars in like all my thumbnails. And then this is the funnest part because you can get so creative with what stars you want. I tend to add it around like the border or on my body or my dress, whatever I'm wearing. And then if it gets on my face, you just cut it out so you can see that clearer. And then from there, if I'm officially done with my thumbnail, I will press apply at the top, press next, save one more time, download photo. And then from there, if I'm getting ready to post my video, I'll just go to more and then airdrop it right to my computer. And it's so easy if you have a MacBook, you just airdrop it into your computer and add to upload thumbnail on the little bar in the YouTube section. But yeah, thank you guys so much if you enjoyed this or if you watched all the way through. As you can see, I have a really cute background to sit in front of instead of a plain wall now. I'm still working on it, so hopefully this will be a little bit bigger and I'll have more vines. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope to help a few of you guys out if you're struggling on how to edit your photos or thumbnails, whatever it may be. I love watching videos like this just to get some inspiration from other people of similar aesthetics. And if you guys have any more questions about how I edit, make sure to comment down below. Maybe next I'll show how I edit my videos. But yeah, thank you guys so much if you stayed all the way through. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. And turn on post notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Follow me on Instagram at julia.niles with 2 S's. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!